Hello everyone, Daniel Yuck here. Thank you all for tuning in today. I appreciate it. Today we're going to be kicking off episode 4 of our tattoo critiquing series. Now, for those who aren't familiar, these are a series consisting of people, you the viewers, submitting in your tattoos that you've done, so that way you can obtain artistic insight from me. This isn't by any means for me to tell you to stop tattooing, that you're doing it right or wrong. I'm not trying to tell you that your tattoos are ugly. I'm not trying to do anything like that. What I am trying to do is take in the submissions that I feel are a good fit for these episodes, and then again, I'm going to go ahead and just simply share my artistic insight. Just to reiterate, this is not by any means right or wrong or the only way to do it, and I just can't exhaust that enough within these episodes. Now, with that being said, let's go ahead and proceed accordingly. I have 5 submissions right here ready to go in front of me, in which we will just be running through them here. Now, if you are interested in submitting some work on your end over onto me, if you want to be featured on one of these episodes, by all means, I encourage you to go ahead and send your images, pictures that you've taken of tattoos that you've done on down to my email, which would be yuckmadethis@gmail.com. I will leave that in the description below for you, so you can go ahead and check that out on your end as well. Now, with that also being said, let's just dive on into this. So the first one that we are going to be doing is going to be a submission from Devin Smith Rick right here. Forgive me if I mispronounce your name. That's not my intention, or anyone's name for that matter. Now, if you don't want your name mentioned within the episodes, within the email, just go ahead and state that somewhere that you don't want your name included. I will just mark it as unknown. Now, if you submitted an image and it's not in one of the episodes, be patient. If you don't see it within one of the 3 to 4 coming episodes, then it's probably because it was on the end where I didn't feel comfortable bringing it to these episodes right here for others to view as well, as I'm not trying to encourage bad practices of any sort. So just to confirm, if there's any sort of apparent bad practices available on the tattoo that I could see, more than likely I'm not going to include it within these sessions. I want to encourage each and every one of you, when you submit it on a practice skin. That's ideally the way to go. Now, it's not always that way for everyone. I do consider multiple variables as well upon taking on these submissions. So just, keep that in mind. If you're submitting tattoos that look like there's bad practices, it's not going to make it over here to the critiquing series. Now, for this specific tattoo, this one was done on a fake skin. Now, I do appreciate the submission, Devin. Thank you very much. Where I'm going to begin is I always typically begin by finding the pigment of the actual design at hand, so that way it's more cohesive in what I'm trying to get across, so that way my points get across better here. Now, one thing off the bat that I noticed, and this is a problem that's like very, very persistent upon a lot of new tattooers, and I myself included. I'm not perfect by any means, but if you look real closer here, we can zoom in, we can see inconsistencies. Like, this is a good example. So we can take a look right here at this line, and we can see that this spot right here is a lot darker than this area right here. However, it is still it's supposed to read as one fluid line. So as you can see, the line work, I feel, would need to be better. Now, I feel that trying to go for designs like this is a bit ambitious when we first start out, especially when we aren't able to pull nice one-pass saturated lines. So you can see over here on this fake skin, I just went ahead and started pulling a whole bunch of different lines, and this was recent. I'm always doing that, just making sure that I keep my skill set sharp. Now, as you can see though, the line work is not capable of doing a design like this, I personally feel. So if this was me and this was my skill set, I wouldn't have taken on this design. But what I would have done is, let me make this a little bit bigger. Right off the bat though, lining always makes a dramatic improvement within most 98% of pieces, especially if the piece already had lines to begin with. Now, as you can see, just in that area alone, we can see the quality going up a bit there due to the lines being a bit more fit, a bit more sharp, a bit more clean and crispy. And again, this is on an iPad. I understand that it's easier to do this on an iPad, so that's why I do it on here, just to kind of demonstrate. So for this, I probably would have used maybe an 11-round liner for all of these lines. If you wanted to go bolder, by all means you can do so, but I think that is the biggest issue right here. As you can see within this line, if we zoom in, we kind of came up a little bit, the line got a little bit thinner. maybe the needle was hanging out a little bit too much, which wobbled right here, which happens. That's actually pretty common. I think that's more of just getting used to the gear and adjusting your depth accordingly. But as you could see though, like when we go and shape this up with better lines, even just that alone definitely takes the quality of the tattoo and artwork itself up quite a few notches in my professional opinion. And I think for this will just go back to lining. Why I showed you my fake skin that I just lined on is because that's literally what I do. So I feel if you just grab the fake skin, even this one off to the side right here, if you just come up here and then just practice, you know, one line and make sure it's nice, clean, wipe it away, make sure it's saturated, make sure you're doing these in one passes and keep doing that. That's what I recommend. Use your fake skin to the max. You don't always need to do designs because remember, at the beginning phase, this is just my thought process. When I was in my first 4 to 6 months of just tattooing on fake skin, I thought to myself, I want to get the fundamentals under my belt and then I can move on, because it didn't make sense to try to do elaborate pieces when I didn't even have the fundamentals, when I wasn't able to pull a line. So that's what I recommend. I recommend it to, I mean, the ambition is great, but I feel, again, we may have bit off a little bit more than what we were capable of actually chewing. And I used to do this a lot, and I myself am still guilty of this sometimes. This comes with experience, knowing when to say no and when to not take on a design. But as you can see though, I shaped up this little area and you can tell the quality of the tattoo goes up a little bit. Let me see if I can actually shape up the eye a bit better so that way I can get my point across, and then we can kind of move on to the next design here. And I will go ahead and be thorough with every design. I'll say as much as I can and feel. So as you can see, I'm just simply shaping this up, and I would have done this with a needle and with the correct application accordingly. I don't know, you know, wherever this would have been on the person. But as you can see though, correcting the lining and just being able to apply simple lines is going to get you far better results. So for this, Devin, I would just recommend taking down the ambition a bit and simply just coming over here to this side and pulling the line, wiping away, and then see how it did. Go back, pull a line, wipe away, see how you did, and keep doing that. And then you're gonna notice by the time you've used up this entire skin, you're gonna be more familiar with what you need to do to pull consistent lines. And then you can take that right there, what you learned, and apply it to designs like this, if that makes sense. So I hope that helps, and I definitely appreciate your submission. Thank you very, very much, Devin. The next one is going to be a submission by Shay Creative, if I am correct. And if I'm mispronouncing these names, please forgive me. It's definitely not my intention. Now, as we can see, this one is done on a back, and this is human skin right here. Now, the reason why this one is included is, as you can see though, it's in my opinion, a well done and executed tattoo. It doesn't show any signs of any bad practices. So it looks as though Shay Creative is a professional, and I am familiar with the name Shay Creative as well. If I am correct, I do follow that account on my Instagram, so I have seen multiple tattoos from this individual. So, which is another reason why this human skin tattoo made it to the video, because again, it is a nice presentation. And for me specific, I mean, if I had to say anything, if I'm gonna be like super picky, the gray wash set right here, I'm not sure what was used. If you can comment below, let us know what you used. This right here is just a bit too dark for my taste, as right here, like for example, if we zoom in, this line, let me see if I can use a lighter color to kind of point out the line. This line right here gets lost within the rows, within the shading, forgive me, and then so does this piece right here. And to me, I feel this statement that I just said about this rose is 110% subjective. It's, you know, to each their own. Some people may like that dark look, but for me, I like and I'm real specific with my flowers. Like, I'm real picky. I like for mine to have a bit of dimension, and I always approach them with like a dot stipple approach. So again, that's why it is subjective and to each their own. But for me, if I had to say anything about this tattoo, the line work is great. The line work is solid. You know, over years, you know, you will improve. Also right here, I would just recommend A to B all the way through, A to B. And I still myself am working on this, and it does happen, you know. A to B kind of came up a little bit quicker than we wanted to. it happens. I would just, and then right here, connect it back right there. It's just little things like that that will make for a better read on the tattoo. However, what bugs me the most, I guess, and bugs is probably a harsh term to use, but what stands out the most is more accurate, is that shading right there. So like, let's say if I do kind of, and even maybe putting some white highlights in here may actually make that shading pop. If you were to go in and put some highlights, I may be able to demonstrate where I would put the highlights. But as you can see though, these dimensions of the rows is what I'm trying to say. These dimensions get lost within the shading. To each their own, some may like it, some may not. Me, I am not a personal fan of the shading. However, if you were to take some white and kind of go in here and try to get some white in there to stay like that, little dots, that may make for a better read on the tattoo. And I'm just kind of like selecting any spots here really to put these white highlights. It's not anywhere specific. And then like right here. But as you can see though, little white highlights could take it a very long way if executed correctly, in my professional opinion here. And you can put them in the darker areas, or you can put the highlights in the lighter areas should you choose. That's also completely subjective, to each their own. I can simply keep going with this all day and you really get my drift with it. And if you zoom in right here, there's also some blowouts. So the lining may be a bit heavy. I don't know what machines are you using. I'm not sure if you're using like rotaries or, you know, I don't know the setup. And also right here, this pedal gets kind of lost there. This kind of gets lost too. So it's very, very difficult to kind of determine what's going on, in my opinion. But with those white highlights, it really does make a dramatic difference, in my opinion. And it really does make the piece pop. Other than that though, this is a great tattoo. This is, as you can see, the white, I really like the way that white sits in there like that. I would do the same thing to the red as well, just be subtle with it. And you get it, you get the idea there. But yeah, I do notice just a few blowouts here and there. I'm not sure what size needle. It maybe looks like a 11, 13 round liner, maybe an 11 round liner, something along those lines. But overall, the tattoo has a great read. It is a nicely done tattoo. And in my professional opinion, I have yet to see a perfect tattoo. Like, we're all humans. There's no such thing as a perfect tattoo. I think it becomes wrong when you don't know what you're doing, when you're not aware of cross-contamination and or bloodborne pathogens. Then that's when you're crossing into like a territory that you really don't want to be, and that's where things become dangerous. Overall though, as you can see, very nice tattoo with the white highlights. It really makes it pop. That's all that I would really have to say about this tattoo. Sorry that this one went on longer than it probably should have. So just to go over one last time, I would just work on my needle depth, so that way I'm not blowing out every other line here, as you can see, or every line when they connect. So as you can see, this pedal probably went like that. This one came like that. They connected and blew out there. I would work on my needle depth. I would work on the shading a bit to find a little bit more dimension, and I would also just A and B in it. Just take a little bit more time to A, B, and make sure every line's connected all the way through. I myself am still working on all of these variables as well. Shay Creative, thank you very, very much for your submission. I truly appreciate your support. Should you all or anyone have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the comments below. I will do my best to assist you in the best possible direction. The next one is going to be a submission from Campbell, as you can see right here. And this one is on a fake skin. I genuinely appreciate your submission, Pete. Thank you very, very much. This one right here looks as though it's, I guess the design to me reads traditional. However, the lines don't. if that makes sense. So allow me to explain. So typically when I see traditional designs, they're very simplistic designs with vibrant colors, nice, solid, bold, saturated lines. This right here, I do get traditional vibes. However, the needle configuration I feel was a bit under the ballpark of where I would have wanted to be at least. This may have been done with possibly, it looks as though maybe some sort of 7-round liner or something to this extent. It could be 9. I would have done this with a round shader. I would have gone with like a 14-round shader or something with a much bolder print. So why I say that is because, let me bold out here, and I'm going to use this black right here, and as you can see, I'm lining this with a really bold outline. And let's use our imaginations here, and let's kind of envision this being the 14-round shader. Could even be a 9-round shader. Typically though, if I'm going to do this style of tattoo, like a traditional with like this sort of color, I'm going to be using a round shader to line. I'm not going to be using a round liner unless it's going to be like an 18-round liner and above that, or a bigger round liner. But as you can see though, the form starts changing when the lines are bolded out. The whole read of the tattoo changes when these lines are bolded. Let me proceed here. So as you can see though, already in my profession, and this is all going to be subjective, don't forget that. Now in my opinion, this is looking a lot better. The read is much nicer off the bat. The coloring for now can stay there. We're not going to really go for the coloring yet, the color packing, but we are going to kind of just bold this out real quick because there's only a few lines I feel I can make a better point by getting as much as I can done in a timely manner. But as you can see though, the rose already is reading much better over the thinner configuration that was originally chosen. So for this, if possible, I would recommend going back over with a bigger configuration here, so that way the tattoo reads as traditional and nicely. To me, this is more appropriate for this style of tattoo, this sort of lining. Same thing with the flowers. You're gonna want to just go ahead and go over those as well. Make them look as nice as you can. But right off the bat, and in my opinion, we do make for a better read. Now the color packing is also going to be subjective. For me here, I would have gotten the red. I would have just kind of outlined the whole red line right here, like literally draw my tracing around where I'm not going to go beyond, and then filled all of that in red, just a solid fill in red. Same thing over here, I would have gone like that with the red line and just fill all of this in solid. That's one way that you can approach it. This is another. I do like how it fades out like that. That's very nice. So that is fully subjective, to each their own. Maybe there's even times where I'll do it both ways, where I'll have that fade effect and then, or I'll have the tight round effect where it's just sharp and edgy there. And for sakes of just demonstration, I'm going to do this leaf right here real quick. And again, I just want to demonstrate and leave a half and half here how important the lining actually is. And that's why I said earlier in another demonstration that lining is like 95 or 90, a big part of people's problems. I don't know an exact percentage or statistic, but it's a big part of people's problems, and I feel it's often underlooked. So there we have it. As you can see, this specific rose reads to me a lot better with bolder lines. It's definitely a way to go with this specific style of tattoo. Pete Campbell, I genuinely appreciate your submission. I hope I can shed some light and or guide you in a better direction. Should you have any questions, please feel free to drop it in the comments below. Thank you yet again for your submission, Pete. Now the next one on the list is going to be our and I'm assuming that's going to be Hernandez. So that one is going to be our Hernandez there, and we're gonna go ahead and just move on to this one. As we can see, this one is on a hand. I don't see any apparent bad practices in terms of like bloodborne pathogen issues or anything like that. So I went ahead and I included it in this one, as me personally, I love flowers, so I wanted to go ahead and try and shed some light on this one specific. But for Pete Campbell, real quick, I would just recommend taking a little bit more time before the tattoo to see what needle configuration is a bit more appropriate prior to continuing the tattoo. As you can see, a thicker line was definitely the way to go over a thinner configuration. If this was all you had available to you, I understand fully. You're still working the tattoo. Well done. Thank you for your submission. I genuinely appreciate that. Now, the next one, yet again, is R. Hernandez right here. R. Hernandez, thank you for your submission. I genuinely appreciate your time and support here. Now, for this one specific, for me, what I am noticing off the bat, there's two things that stand out, and I'm not sure if this is just me or for everyone else, but what stands out is the purple. The purple seems a bit, let's say, unsaturated. I'm not sure if you're trying to use it in a shading effect. However, as you can see, what I'm trying to say is, like, for example, this part of the hand has dark purple and this part has purple with some skin tone coming through. So to me, it's a bit uneven in terms of how the ink was applied to the hand, which also affects the readability of the tattoo. That's one thing that stands out. So I'm not a fan of the purple packing. To me, I would have approached it much more differently, but again, that's why this is fully subjective. For the coloring, again, I love the color though. The purple is really, really nice itself. However, though, in the execution, I feel it was a little bit different how I would have approached it. Another thing that also stands out is the lines. The lines look a little bit thinner in here, which kind of loses the rows there in total. Now, for me, what I would do is I've let this healed and I would have hit these lines again, making them much, much more bolder. So why I say that is because let's say if I start right here and I kind of just go, not bolder, I'm sorry, making them darker, saturating the lines a bit more without blowing out the skin. So I guess you can kind of say bolding them out just a tad bit more. So as you can see, I'm just checking if the camera's rolling. So the lining, the darker the lines are gonna be right here, I feel the more it's gonna, or the better it'll have for the read. And to me, that's kind of everything, the read of the tattoo. I'm always paying attention to that readability, how a tattoo reads. I always think about that before I even put the tattoo, or tattoo it permanently on the client when I put a stencil and look at it. Is it within my capabilities? But as you can see though, just by simply putting a little bit more time into the lining here, we are getting nice results. So as you see though, right there, the middle is starting to really pop. The lines right here get lost. I can't really see these lines right here. So I'm gonna kind of just make way as best as I personally can. And that's what, I guess that's what I mean. So the lines there are a bit undersaturated for my personal liking. I'm sorry, a bit lost there for my personal liking. But that's also subjective. So I'm gonna go with that approach right there. And then over here, as you can see, I see this part right here. And then also, I kind of just should line the rows so that way I could explain that aspect. So besides the purple, the packing of the purple, the lining, if the lining was executed a bit better, the tattoo would have really popped. And I get that out here you're trying to go a bit more blacker. I get that the look, I get it. I get what you're trying to do there. For me though, as you can see, there's a bit of white there. I would have just maybe waited on the thicker outline and focused on the inner outline right here. But again, that is also subjective. And I'm not trying to offend anyone, but I am just more so giving my genuine, honest insight on how I would have approached it. So we have that right there. Then we have this one right here. Very cool. I'm not sure if this is gonna go this way, but we'll make it go that way. But as you can see, there's little spots that are getting lost within the design, and that is tragic, my friend. That is what we don't want. We don't want that to happen. Let me continue right here. I'm almost done. So off the bat, as you can see, with nice bolder lines, with a bit better execution here, would have resulted in a better read of the tattoo, even with the white highlights and the purple there executed the way that they are. I'm not really having a true problem with the white highlights. I feel like they're a little bit off here. But overall though, as you can see, just with these lines right here, the tattoo is starting to pop. I'm not against the leaves. I kind of, you know, I like the leaves there. I feel again though, that's actually a pretty nice line. So one last thing that stood out besides the purple and the lining was this right here, the shading. So I'm not sure if it was like a gray wash or a silver tone or what was used specific. However, me personally, and it looks as though it could have been wiped a little bit more. I think there's excess of white there a little bit, but as you see right here, with me personally, I would have done like a stipple approach all the way around because it would have looked nice, shaded out those dots, and I would have just kind of followed the form of his hand, doing the stipples right here, and then kind of stipples right here, and then stipples right here, and you know, just changing with the form of the hand instead of this. Or I would have hit it with like a smaller mag, maybe a 7 round mag, and kind of done the same approach all the way around to cover more area. Me personally, I probably would have just stuck with a 3 and took my time with it. But as you can see though, that's my take on this. With white highlights in the right areas would have popped. As you can see, this one's a bit off right here. To me, I would have put it in the more lighter area, such as right here. And then like this one, I would have put a white highlight right here. And very like with thin lines, I would put the white highlights maybe with a 5 round liner. And like that, I would have done it like so. But you can get my drift with the white highlights. That's going to be fully subjective and to each their own. Now for this though, that's pretty much, I do see a few blowouts here, so I would also recommend working a bit more on needle depth. And again, blowouts even happen to the best, they do. However, they're avoidable. I think I mentioned blowouts when I see multiple within a tattoo. If I see 1 or 2 or here every other, you know, every other spot, especially where lines connect, it's kind of like forgiving because sometimes some skins like that, sometimes it's not. But as you see, overall though, I do like the design. I like roses on hands, so I'm a fan of that. That's how I would have approached this tattoo. I genuinely appreciate your submission, R. Hernandez. Now, should you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the comments down below. I will do my best to assist you in the best possible direction. Now, yet again, thank you very, very much. Now, just to reiterate and recap, I would just recommend trying to work on packing and coloring better, work on techniques on how you would apply the color better. I would definitely work on lining a bit more, and also needle configuration sizes, picking better needle configurations for the tattoos at hand. Please keep in mind it's fully subjective. Yet again, thank you very, very much for your submission. The next and last one up on the list is going to be Zac Tarosa. Now, again, if I am mispronouncing any of these names, please forgive me. It's genuinely not my intention. So as you see, we have a tattoo right here from Zac, and overall this tattoo reads really, really nice upon reading. This is more of a traditional style approach with nice bold lines, nice bright vibrant colors. So overall though, this tattoo reads well in my eyes. Like when I say reads well, that means if I'm walking and I see someone with this tattoo, at first glance I'm gonna be like, well, that's a great tattoo. Now if there's anything that I'm going to say, I'm going to mention a few parts here, like on the curves, in which I still have issues with stuff like this. This right here is all about comfortability, finding that comfort before you even take on this part of the design. So for me, I would have probably have started like from this way and gone this way like so, to have lined that correctly. Or I would have gotten the client and done it this way. So whichever one would have felt more comfortable to you, I would have gone with. But the reason why I say that is because the lines in this area are they look a little bit underconfident compared to some lines in other areas. And I'm not sure if that was due to placement, comfortability, or all of the above, who knows. But as you can see though, that's the only thing that really stands out. So when the designs get a bit tough, still kind of stick it out and A and B it through it. You could even taper in, like come this way. If that gets uncomfortable, taper out, taper in, taper out. As you can see, make sure your lines connect, A to B everything. I myself am still working through that. But overall though, that's what I would have done just on the curves. As you can see right here, the lines, and again, this happens. We could have kind of just slipped, the client could have moved. Many reasons. As you see right here, these kind of go that way. It's just little things like that I'm really looking for. This right here, on this end, there's a hair right here. On this end, there's a line that we can go this way to be a bit more solid, because there's a bit of inconsistency right here. So when you started, it was a little bit lighter, and right here the machine came out, so we're kind of leaning the needle that way is what it looks like. So I would just recommend working on consistency. Like plant yourself, find your comfortable position, A to B the tattoos. As you can see, there's an opening right here if I zoom in. So just plant yourself, A, B, close it off, plant yourself, A, B, and that's after you found out which way is comfortable for you. Same thing for this, A, and then B, and then A, B, or some people can do it all in one stroke. Like you can go A, and then B. You can do it like that if you're confident in pulling the lines like so. So the idea is, I think the point that I'm trying to make is being comfortable upon pulling every single line. Even if it takes you a few seconds, even like 15, 20 seconds to figure out how you're going to pull the line, by all means, take your time, figure out how you're going to pull the line, make sure you're comfortable before proceeding is what I would recommend. That confidence is key, especially on these curved lines like this right here. They're going to need these specific designs, and these sort of areas are going to need that level of confidence. So that's really all I would say about that. Other than that, as you can see, there's really strong lining up here in this area, a little bit of inconsistent right there. Other than that though, I appreciate your submission. Thank you very much. There's not much to say. The tattoo reads well overall. Thank you very much. Yeah, yet again, I appreciate it, Zach. If I didn't touch base on anything specific, or if you have any questions, by all means, let me know. There's not anything much I would like to say about the shading, because I get the shading. It does go with the style. Very nice. Yet again, everyone who submitted today, I truly appreciate your support and submission. It truly means a lot to me. I can't thank you all enough. So I think that we can keep going with these critiquing episodes. I think that people, or you all, are liking them. I do feel that they're very insightful and may help others and guide them in a better direction. It also gives you as the viewer an opportunity to go ahead and interact and be featured in one of my videos, which is also another cool opportunity. So Devin, Shay, Pete, R. Hernandez, and Zach, thank you all very much for your submissions. I genuinely appreciate your time, support. Thank you for taking the time to send this to me. If you're interested in submitting to be featured in one of the future critiquing episodes, please feel free to go ahead and submit one of your tattoos to the email below. I'm pretty sure by now, if you're watching, you know the stipulations. Go ahead and send me some tattoos, preferably on fake skin. If you're already doing tattoos in shops and you want to be critiqued, by all means, send those on over. All bad tattoos with bad practices that appear or that are apparent will be declined and or not featured. I just won't respond. I won't feature it. I don't want to feed that sort of practice, if that makes sense to you all. For those who do fall into that category, I am genuinely sorry. Should you have any issues, or if there's any concerns, please feel free to reach out to me. We will go ahead and find a middle ground to proceed better in a better direction, because I understand everyone starts somewhere. Now, with all of that being said, yet again, whoever's watching, thank you all for your support. Thank you all for tuning in. If you're not, be sure to go ahead and hit that follow. I do have social medias all under the same name at Daniel Yuck. That's DANIELYUCK. I have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok all under the same name at Daniel Yuck. I would genuinely appreciate your support on there. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button on YouTube and ring that bell for me, as I will be bringing more videos like this for you all. Yet again, thank you for tuning in. You have a great day.